Okay, so we're going to get back into our coverage over Spawn for Spawn Sundays, and we actually pick up once again with Curse of Spawn. Now, when it comes to Curse of Spawn, it was a spin-off series that was given to us as a way to say, hey, we want to introduce new characters into the world of Spawn comics. And sometimes those characters might become Hellspawns like Al Simmons. And sometimes these stories were used as a way to fill in plot holes from previous stories in the main Spawn comic. Now today's story arc is going to introduce a new character, and that character is going to be Suture. Now Suture is a very interesting character, and honestly reading her origin story is so hard to read because it's truly messed up. The first chapter, guys, warnings right now, there could be a lot of different things, could be too graphic for certain people. I'm gonna try my best to skip over it, but at the same time, some things have to be talked about because it's part of her origin story. But this character does play a somewhat important role in later stories and Spawn comics. And so getting into the first page of this book, we actually do pick up with Twitch. Now remember, Twitch works alongside another character known as Sam. Now Sam and Twitch used to be police officers for the NYPD. Matter of fact, they were trying to bring down their corrupted boss. Unfortunately, they got fired before they were able to do that. Now after getting fired, they became private investigators. Now here's the thing, because when we jump into today's storyline and we pick up with Twitch, is him currently looking over a folder, and that folder is a recent case him and Sam just solved. And the thing is, this case right here is going to tell us the origin of Suture, and apparently her entire story is so bad it left a nightmare in the mind of Twitch. So that is when we jump back in time. Now we're not technically told how far back in time, but we do pick up with a character known as John Mobley. Now when it comes to John, he's a very interesting kind of character. He really does remind me of another character known as Curse. And what I mean by that is, when it comes to John, he believes that he is doing God's work. Now right off the bat, you should know what I meant by that. Meaning that this man believes that he has the right to kill people if they are truly evil. And so because of that, when we do see him, he is currently at a diner, and he feels like every single person in that diner should die because they are evil. And when he does kill them, it's him currently helping out the Lord, doing God's work. Now, after he kills people, he usually takes their eyes. And the reason why, because he says the eyes are windows to their souls. Now, at this diner, you have John just pull out two guns and begin the process of killing off every single person in that diner. And John is going to be very important when it comes to the origin of Suture. And so then we jump over to Sam and Twitch. Now when we do, we see them arrive at another crime scene. Now this crime scene does have a dead body, and her name was Hillary Reese. Now when it came to Hillary, she was actually a client for Sam and Twitch. The thing is, she wanted to know if her husband was cheating on her or not. Now, he was. Either way, once they were able to prove that, it was a closed case, and they no longer spoke to her after that. The thing is, here she is now. She is dead, but it was a very gruesome death. 1, she is hanging off the wall. 2, her head is gone. 3, her body is almost cut in half. And 4, someone took her blood and wrote rose on the wall. As a matter of fact, they replaced her head with a rose. They're calling this guy the Rose Killer. And the reason why? Because she is the 4th victim. Now, the reason why Sam and Twitch are there, because they knew her. And so you have these other detectives wondering if they know anything about her, like, does she have any kind of enemies? Could this be her husband? Do you know anything? And unfortunately, Sam and Twitch have nothing to share. Now, that is when you had these other cops get mad at Sam and Twitch, because Sam and Twitch used to be cops. Now they got fired, but right after they got fired, they became private investigators. Except when it comes to these other cops, they're kind of like, you are a disgrace. You were a great cop, and now look at you. You're an ex-cop, and now you're a PI. That sucks. You're horrible. Get the heck out of here. And that right there really does bother Sam and Twitch, but Twitch more than Sam. Now that is the moment we are introduced to another character, and that would be Gretchen Culver. Now when it comes to Gretchen, she is going to be very important for this entire story arc. Now with that being said, when it comes to Gretchen, she has a great life going for her. She's engaged, got a great fiance, a great job. It seems like everything is going her way. And she's always so happy and pure, and she loves her parents. Now here's the thing though. See, she does walk into a diner. And let's not forget, there was a diner in the earlier parts of the storyline when it came to a character known as John, who just killed off every single person in that diner. And so when it comes to Gretchen, when she walks into the diner, it's the same one John was at. And she sees John, but she also sees all the dead bodies of people he just killed. Now, he does chase after her. Now, it's not really him saying like, oh my God, she's a witness, I have to kill her off. No, it's him saying, I'm doing God's work and I feel like you have to die. And so yes, he does chase after her. Now the thing is, she runs into the middle of the street where she is struck by a car. Now she does survive, and you do have an ambulance come get her and take her away. Now for John, he's kind of like, okay, this is great because she could still die possibly on her way over to the hospital, but at the same time, he realized he should get out of there because now cops are arriving and he'll be the first person to be questioned. Now, this is when we jump over to Twitch. Now, when we do, you have Twitch right now expressing to Sam how he feels about the idea of being broke. Because with them being private investigators, they're not getting enough case to kind of make enough money to keep their office door open. But at the same time, they're not making enough money for Twitch, to be able to take care of his family. Because remember, this dude is married. He has like 3 or 4 kids. But unfortunately, there's not enough money being made right now to help take care of them. And so this is Twitch right now thinking about possibly finding a new career as a way to help support his family. And so this leads us into the sad part of the book. And guys, this is a warning. If you want to skip it, go ahead. But I'm telling you right now, this is actually very crucial for her origin story. And so when it comes to Gretchen, remember, she was hit by a car. After being hit by a car, an ambulance came in, got her and took her away, and they were supposed to take her over to the hospital. They don't. And the reason why, because some cops and also the drivers of the ambulance felt like they should have their way with her because right now she's unconscious. And so they pull over and they begin the process of taking turns on this poor girl who's unconscious, who just got hit by a car, but they don't care. For them, it's a free pass, which is horrible. But anyways, she does wake up literally as one of the cops is doing horrible things to her, and she's able to grab his gun and she is able to fire that gun, which does hit another officer. Now with that happening, the guy who was doing some horrible things to her gets angry and begins the process of beating her non-stop to the point where she is technically lifeless. She's dead right then and there. And this is such a hard thing to see because you do have the paramedics and also the officers kind of like, okay, she's dead. Now we have to dispose the body. We cannot arrive anywhere at all with her like this. And so we have to go ahead and get rid of the body. And that is when we come to find out that they give her body over to Jeremiah Uden. Now, when it comes to Jeremiah, he used to be a great pro wrestler. The thing is, he took too many hits in the head, and that did a lot of brain damage to him. Now, he did spend some time in prison, but while in prison, he did learn a few things, like how to dispose a body. And so apparently, when it comes to the NYPD, if they have a body they're trying to get rid of, this guy right here is the best guy to go to, apparently. And not just for cops, possibly gangsters as well. Either way, when it comes to Gretchen, her body was given over to Jeremiah to be disposed in some crappy way. Now, this is when we jump into Curse of Spawn number 6, where we actually do pick up with a random guy. Now, this guy's right now collecting bags. Now, you're kind of wondering what are in those bags that he is collecting. And we kind of find out later on that in those bags are actually pieces of a dead body. Now, he does take the bags over to an old lady, and her name is Odessa. And Odessa is going to play an important role, but we're not going to see her ever again in the rest of the story arc. Just know that she is about to do something very interesting. But then we jump back over to Sam and Twitch. Now, when we do, it's the two guys right now being confronted by a character known as Wayne. Now, when it comes to Wayne, he was the fiance to Gretchen. And so, with her being gone for a good amount of time, he's kind of worried about her. Now, apparently he did go to police, but the officers are not really trying to do anything to help him find his missing fiance. We already know why, because, well, they killed her off and disposed of her body. But on top of that, when it comes to his family, they feel like she just ran away to some new guy to get away from him. But he says, I know my lady, I know my girl. She is missing out there and I need to find her. And so he says, hey, you know, like, can y'all help me? And you have Sam and Twitch both say, yeah, I guess we'll help you out, man. Let's go out there and look for her. Now, that is when we get a glimpse of two people being killed off out of nowhere. Now, the question is, are they related to the two killers we have out there currently? Like, for example, the Rose Killer, or John, who's going around doing God's work? Or could this be a new killer out there? We have no idea. Either way, we see two guys just like that, bam bam, killed off very quickly. And we're left to wonder, who are those guys who were just killed off by some random person? And they were killed off very brutally. And so then we jump over to the NYPD arriving to another crime scene. Now, when it comes to this crime scene, well, they find a few more dead bodies, except these dead bodies are different. And what I mean by that is, it seems like someone cut up the dead bodies and then sewed them back together and then hung them up in different kinds of positions. And it's kind of like, okay, this is not John, this is not Rose Killer, this is a new killer. But the question is, who? And the thing is, the people who are dead in this room right now, they were killers, which means our new killer is going after other serial killers. And that is very huge. Now, when it comes to some cops, they're kind of like, well, this is great. We have a killer out there going after other serial killers. What is the problem? But the thing is, you have Sam and Twitch arrive. And when they do, they're like, hey, the reason why we're here, because our missing person was last seen at the diner to the other serial killer that you guys are looking for. And so we feel like our case may be connected to your case. But unfortunately, these other officers do not want to work with Sam and Twitch because, again, they are PIs, private investigators. And you have Sam and Twitch find one of the 4 officers that was involved when it came to the night Gretchen was assaulted. Now, when they do arrive, they corner this man. They're like, hey, what happened to her? Nobody knows where she's at. It's kind of like she just disappeared, and that is not possible. And he says, listen, The last thing I know, she was DOA, dead on arrival. Now you already know that's not true. We know they disposed the body, but it's right now him and the others trying to cover up their tracks. And so you have Sam and Twitch say, fine, we'll go down to the morgue. When we do, we better find a dead body down there to confirm that she was DOA. Now, when Sam and Twitch arrive at the morgue, they don't find a dead body. Instead, they find files that basically says that she was there and she died, but now her body is gone and apparently she was buried somewhere. And we already know, again, that is not true. That her body was disposed, and so right now it's just people trying to cover up their tracks. But unfortunately, they have proof that she is quote unquote dead. The question is, where is her body? And luckily, they are able to find a body. The thing is, the body was buried somewhere in some kind of graveyard or cemetery, whatever, except when they find the body, they have to tell her fiance like, hey, you know, here's your fiance. She died apparently dead on arrival, and they went ahead and buried her body. Now the thing is, Sam and Twitch both realize there's something wrong with this entire story. How in the world was someone a DOA and they were already buried this quick and fast? Like, protocol was skipped a whole lot in different areas. And so this is Sam and Twitch saying we should re-examine that body, because that body is most likely not Gretchen at all. And we know it's not her. Now, as you have Sam and Twitch talking, they're being watched by two other officers who were also involved in the death of Gretchen. But getting back over to John, we see John going to a movie theater. Now, here's the thing, because John is again believing that he is doing God's work, and apparently every single person right now in this theater deserves to die. And so this man is getting ready to just let gun blazing all over the place, except he is stopped by a new character. And this is where we get our introduction of Suture. Now, guys, to me, she looks totally bad, you know what. Like, not bad in a bad way, like bad in a good way. Like, dang, I was like, yo, she looks fire. Now, with that being said though, when she arrives, she kills off John just like that. And we're kind of like, wait a second, could this be our new serial killer that's going around killing off other serial killers? Because right now, she just killed off John. But the thing is, we have no idea who this chick is. Now you already know this is Gretchen. The question is though, how was she brought back to life? Now, moments later, we come to find out the police arrive at the scene. And when it comes to John, he's currently being hung against the wall. Now, here's the thing. Sam and Twitch also arrive at the scene, and they pull over Detective Sparks. Now, when it comes to Sparks, he's really the only cop who's on Sam and Twitch's side here. Either way, you have Sam and Twitch tell Spark something is wrong here, because they feel like their missing person is still missing, because they were able to dig up the grave that she was supposedly buried in, except there's no body. And that's a huge problem, because now her fiance realized that the cops are trying to hide something, which means what truly happened to his girlfriend, fiance? That is the big question. And we already know she came back to life, but as a different person. But when we jump into the next chapter, we pick up with Suture just thinking about her past life, being Gretchen but no longer being Gretchen, that now she's a new kind of character. Now, she does hint at the idea that she is Gretchen by saying like how her body was just thrown to the side, how her body was cut up. As a matter of fact, when it came to Jeremiah, the guy who did dispose her body, she was alive. She wasn't dead. She survived the beating earlier, which means she was alive before she was cut up. Either way, apparently thanks to dark magic and also Odessa, it brought her back to life. And so now it's her just going out there getting revenge against different people who did her wrong. Now, we do pick up with Sam and Twitch, and they want to talk to another officer known as Doug Halliday. Now, when it comes to Doug, he was also one of the many cops who did Gretchen wrong. The thing is though, when they do arrive to talk to him, nobody at the police department want to guide Sam and Twitch over to where he is at. And the reason why? Because they are private investigators. They have no respect for that at all. Now, that is when they find out another character known as Evan Kane wants to talk to them, and he is from Eternal Affairs. Now, when it comes to Eternal Affairs, they're kind of like the police for the police, making sure police officers don't break the rules. Either way, when it comes to Eternal Affairs, Evan Kane has been working on a case on that Pacific precinct when it comes to the NYPD. And so he is telling Sam and Twitch, I need you guys to back the heck off of them, because you have the possibility of ruining my case, and I cannot have that at all. And so I'm telling you to back the heck off and let me do my job to bring them down. Now, once they're able to arrive back into their office, they are confronted by Wayne once again. Now remember, Wayne is or was the fiance of Gretchen, and so he wants to know what happened to his lady, the woman he loves so much. What happened to her? He wants to know, but Sam and Twitch have no choice to say like, I'm sorry dude, they're stonewalling us. Unfortunately, every single time we try to get some kind of information for you, we just keep getting the runaround. And so unfortunately, I cannot tell you what exactly happened to your fiance. Now, you have Sam and Twitch realize, you know what, if we cannot talk to the police officers, we'll talk to the two paramedics who were there as well when it came to Gretchen. Now, this leads into the idea of what Gretchen is actually doing. And what I mean by that is Gretchen is going around killing off every single person who had basically been involved into her death. And so when it came to our other serial killer, John, he was killed off because technically she walked into the diner and saw him become a killer. He chased her down, which then led to her getting hit by a car. And that was just the snowball effect right there, the domino effect. And so now it's her going after every single person. And so when it comes to Sam and Twitch, when they try to find the two paramedics, they're all like, hey, where are they? And the guy who kind of controls the parking lot, security guard, he says, oh, they just pulled in and also their ambulance is over there. And when Sam and Twitch go to check on that ambulance, and when they open it up, they find the two dead bodies of the paramedics. And just like that, it tells us, yes, what Gretchen is actually doing. She is going around killing off every single person who was basically involved in her death. But then we pick up with Jeremiah. Now remember, Jeremiah was the guy who had technically disposed her body. And that right there is very crucial. And the reason why, because she was alive when she arrived to him. Yes, she was beaten down by the cops earlier, but she had survived that. And so when she arrived to him, she had hope that maybe he would spare her life. And he was like, no, I'm gonna kill you off. And so now she's back all like, oh, you killed me off and now I'm gonna kill you off. And just like that, bam, she kills off Jeremiah. And she makes sure that his body will be hung somewhere as a way to be an example to everyone else who was involved in her death. It's her saying, I'm coming after everybody. Now, they do head over to the home of Kenny Osborne. Now, when it comes to Kenny, he was one of the few police officers who were also involved in the case as well when it came to Gretchen. Now, here's the thing. When they do arrive, they don't find him at first, but they do find a lot of different cases that deal with assault, stapled to Bible scriptures, which honestly shows that yes, he was also involved when it comes to Gretchen's death. Now, when he does come back home, he does see Sam and Twitch. He freaks out and he does try to kill himself as a way to get away from Sam and Twitch. But unfortunately for him, he was grabbed by them, and then they begin to force him to answer a bunch of questions on what happened to Gretchen. Now, when Sam and Twitch arrive back at the police department with Osborne, Kenny Osborne, well, that is the moment you have Suture appear, or Suture had a hard time saying that, but she appears. Now, when she does appear, she's holding a rose in her mouth. Now, this is not her saying that she is the Rose Killer, but what she is saying right now is that she had killed somebody else, and she's the one going around killing off people left and right, all these different kinds of serial killers, but also people who were involved in her death. Now, when she does arrive at the police department, she also has the body of Jeremiah to say, yeah, I'm the killer. Oh, and by the way, I killed him as well. And this is her confessing to all the different murders that she has done. And she's all like, yeah, arrest me. I want to go to jail for the crimes that I have committed. And so when we jump into the final chapter of this book, we pick up with Sam and Twitch on their way over to the police department, but this time along with Kenny and also Wayne, the fiance of Gretchen. Now the thing is, on their way there, out of nowhere, a drive-by was done. And with this drive-by, Wayne and Kenny were both shot and killed. And that just sucks right there, especially because of Kenny. And the reason why, because Kenny is the guy who could technically prove what is wrong with that certain precinct when it comes to the NYPD. Either way, he died. Now, before Wayne dies, he does hand over a small box to Sam and Twitch. Inside that box was supposed to be given to Gretchen. It holds her wedding ring. It's kind of like, man, his lady is alive again and he dies, which honestly sucks a lot. But this leads into the downfall for the NYPD. And the reason why I'm saying that, because we actually do pick up with Suture technically confessing to all the different killings that she had done. Now, here's the thing though, because even though she did admit that, the DA, Donna, she says, we have no choice but to go ahead and let her go. And the reason why? Because they don't have any hard evidence to prove that she is actually the killer. Even though homegirl is right now confessing that she did kill off people, they're like, nah, let her go. With that being said though, that is when she begins to attack the officers in the NYPD building. And really it's just the bad cops, but especially the cops who were involved in her death. Like, for example, Doug Halliday. He is the one of the many cops that are still alive that she has to kill off. And he was the one that beat her to death. Well, he thought he beat her to death, but she is definitely going after him. But at first, she must kill off the other bad cops in the building. Now, when it comes to Doug, he does try his best to get away from Suture. Unfortunately, though, she is still able to catch up to him. And so when it comes to the rest of the pages of this chapter, or really this book, it's really more of her just trying to catch up to him and being able to. And with him being the last cop alive that was involved into her death, yeah, he gets literally killed off by her just like that. Now, with that being said, you have Sam and Twitch arrive. And when they do arrive, this gives them confirmation that Gretchen is still alive, just now she's Suture, some kind of new creature that comes out at night and goes after bad people, especially the ones who were involved in her death. Now, before she disappears, you have Twitch give her a box. It is the same box Wayne gave him to make sure to give to her. It holds her wedding ring. It reminds her of her past life, that she was supposed to get married, but now she won't. And she disappears just like that. And we're left to wonder what happened to Gretchen after this story. And with that being said, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please hit that like button down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.